If you have stubborn family members, if you're dealing with your own exhaustion and not able to handle your emotions, as a caregiver, this video is for you. Now, Charlotte's going to cover all of those things and a lot more. But she's also going to be talking about a certain person in her life, her uncle. I do want you to know that Charlotte lost her uncle shortly after recording this video. So if you don't mind, give her a little bit of love in the comments below so that she can feel the support from caregivers around the world. Think Sarah is a community and a support network for people who care for others, whether they are loved ones, clients, or residents. Welcome to Think Sarah's Meet in the Middle of how to caregiving for loved ones help you make your choice on your career.
I think since I was little, it was I'm going to be a nurse. There was never, even before caregiving, that's all I ever wanted to do. I don't know what it was. It was just something that was in me that I felt drawn to. So naturally, when family members needed care, it was like, oh, well, let's call Charlotte. She'll do this. She'll help. And then as I got more into it with the different facets of training that I've gone through, schooling that I've gone through, it just kind of stuck with me. And so I'm like, of course, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't a nurse. Like I have no other idea. Maybe a cook, maybe a maybe a fashion or a interior designer, because those two are the only other two things that I really like to do. So
because it does seem like it's just part of you.
Yes.
That's just who you are. So that was my actual next question. Do you believe that it's part of who you are? And do you believe that you might have had some influence? Like you said, you started caring for your grandmother with your mother. Was she a caregiver as well? And do you think you got some of that from her?
No, my mom didn't have anybody that she had to care for. And so in my whole family, I'm the only person in medical. Nobody else is in medical. Like anybody else I talk to, they're like, no, there's certain things you do that are gross. I would never do that as a nurse. I'm like, it's not all,
Sometimes it's fascinating too.
Right, definitely. I'm one for the gory stuff. I won't lie on that.
Yes,
but
she truly is.
I am.
We may do a story show if you guys want to hear gory stories. She's got a lot.
So it's never been something that I was scared of, like, oh, I'm going to have to deal with this, or I'm going to have to, like, it's just, you're a nurse. This is what you do. Yeah. But yeah, everybody in my family has some other type of background. So I don't even know where that came from, to be honest, because there's a lot of families where grandma was a nurse, great grandma was a nurse, aunt was a nurse, and it kind of just went down. Same thing with like police or firemen. Like it's been like a family thing. Right. Not in my family. So I'm not quite sure how I got the caregiver bug in me and embedded in my blood, I feel.
It is.
But definitely was for me. So
that's awesome. And we're talking about the family dynamics. In every family there's like the computer guy. So if anybody has a broken, call Dennis, my husband.
Right. That was my brother.
Yeah. There's a yes, Sam. There was there's a cleaner and an organizer. Yes. There's a cook. There's a financier. So any question, I got a plumbing problem. There's a plumber here.
Exactly.
So since you're the nurse and the caregiver, do you feel like the family's like call Char?
Oh, she's
going to be there.
Yeah, that's the first thing everybody says. Like, let her. She knows what's going on. Right. It's medical. Call her. She'll tell you what it means.
Right. I got an X-ray. It says this. Call her.
What's this? And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I don't know everything as a nurse. Like, you can never know everything. But, it's
Uncle Google.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Unfortunately, we don't need Google nurses.
It's always bad.
That's a later story.
It's always going to be bad.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the first thing. We'll call Charlotte. She'll know, or she'll do it. So it's always like, okay, here I am.
Yeah, exactly. For you, when you're caring for a loved one, what's one of the most difficult parts of the process of caregiving for a loved one?
I think I'll say in specific, like when my mom, when she was sick and she needed a lot of like hands-on care with like bathing, dressing, things like that, therapy, she didn't want to do it. And so it was kind of like I found myself somewhat not angry, but just kind of upset because I'm like, Mom, I know you can do this. You've done this already. So that was kind of something that mentally I had to adjust to, because she would be like, well, do you talk to your other patients like this? I'm like, yes, I know what they're capable of doing. And so I need them to do that. I don't want you to say you can't do it.
Right.
You know, you can do it. It might take time, but we're going to get you there. So I think that's kind of mentally, that was something I had to kind of get used to.
And with your mom, was it a self-esteem thing, or was it she really didn't think she could do it, or she didn't want to do it?
She didn't want to do it with her. Like, there were some other things that kind of led up to that, and some more background stuff. So for her, it was more so just, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to give up. So we would have to find ways to tell her, like, well, we need you here.
Right.
You have other family that needs you here.
Right.
You can't just give up. We need you to do these things because we've seen you do these
Right.
things. So we know you can do them. So yeah, that was kind of...
That's hard because you're kind of like parenting your parent.
Exactly. And I'm like, this is a little backwards right now.
Right.
Like...
Right. It's like, come on.
But that's what happens. They take care of us. We take care of them.
Right.
And
I've got a teenager, 2 teenagers at home, not just one.
Right.
Yeah. In your opinion, what are the best parts to being a caregiver for your loved ones?
Just, I think, having that bond with them, and they feel safe. They're going to feel safe with you over somebody that they might have to get to know, that a stranger coming in from a company, or, you know, if they're in the hospital, the nursing home setting. These are strangers that you're relying on to keep you safe and to do these things that you need to do to get better.
Yeah.
And so by being family, I feel like the trust is kind of already there.
Right.
And they know you're really going to watch out for them. You're really going to take care of them.
Yeah. They're not like a face page patient where all you're seeing is that little bit of detail.
Yes.
That you're a widower, that you're this age, that you have this, this issue.
You're not here because you're paid to be here.
Right.
Type of thing.
Right. You want to be here.
Exactly.
Because if you didn't want to be there, you wouldn't be doing that work.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you feel that being a caregiver is a gift? And if so, how?
I think so. You definitely have to want to do it. As hard as it is, and some days as a caregiver, I'm just like, let me throw in the towel, because it can be mentally and physically exhausting. Yes. But you have to want to do it. And for me, ever since I was young, it's always been about, I just want to help people. Like I said, I knew nothing else but to want to be a nurse since I was little. So it was already embedded in me, I feel like. And will I say that some people do get into the different caregiving professions because, you know, maybe they think it's an easier job or more laid back, or maybe they think the money's better. And those things are all nice and great, but it's not about that, because there's no amount of money that you can get to do, like, you have to want to do this job.
You need to sleep at night.
Exactly. And my conscience doesn't allow for me to treat somebody bad or to do this because the money, you know, there's no way. Like I said, you can never make enough.
Well, you said the bond with them. So
yeah,
there's no pay
that.
for that.
I love hearing when I did home care and private duty, I loved bonding with, like, especially my elderly clients who were veterans or wives of veterans. And they would just tell me, oh, well, we traveled here. You know, I raised the kids in this country or in this city.
Wow.
And different things like that. So like my grandfather was in the Army, and she followed him, and she worked, you know, to help in the Army for the soldiers. So like hearing those stories, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, these are legends.
Right.
These are legends. I feel that veterans are legends because they fight for us. And probably another story that we'll get into, but they don't get the honor and the care that they deserve.
No.
So by being able to do that, even in the slightest, whether it's just a conversation, that for me is the biggest, the greatest thing that I can accomplish. Yeah, I would say.
And seeing, like, a soldier not as the frail person in front of you, but as a soldier who carried a lot emotionally and physically.
Yes.
For years.
For sure. Yeah. And then to see them kind of now, weaker and not as strong mentally and physically, to still be able to care for them, that's an honor actually.
Yeah.
For a caregiver.
It's your way of saying thank you.
Yes.
So is there a emotional bond or a closeness, and you kind of brushed on this earlier, that you get from caregiving a loved one that you wouldn't other ways? Like,
Honestly, every person that I've cared for, in whether it's family member or in like a private duty or home care setting, I've bonded with all of them. Like some of them have, they've given gifts for holidays, or I've even had family members like, oh, well, my mother thinks of you as like a granddaughter, because you build those bonds with them. They trust you. You see them a few times a week if it's like a different setting,
Right.
if it's like you're doing home care or something like that. And then it, like with family, it's kind of the same thing. It's a little bit stronger bond because they know this is a whole different realm that you've taken on for me.
Right. Do you get to know them better, though, or things that come out that you're like, well, I never knew that before?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a few things that, not bad things, but like I've found out, caregiving, like right now, one of my people I care for is my uncle.
Yeah.
And I've found out more things probably in the last few years than I ever knew in my whole entire life. And I was like, wait, when did this happen? Or,
Right.
he was a veteran. I didn't know he was a veteran.
Wow.
Things like that. So, yeah.
So how is, like, when you're caring for a loved one and something difficult happens during a tough time, whether it be a diagnosis you weren't hoping for or a prognosis that is, you have less time than you thought you did with this person, what do you do to still, I don't know whether compartmentalize is a good word, but to compartmentalize that worry and still provide good care to that person, even knowing that they have this prognosis? Or
For me, I just do it because you just have to cherish the time that you do have, as little amount of time as that. My mom passed away in 2024 and we didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Like she'd fallen and broke her hip and was going to therapy. And then next thing you know, she's in ICU and they're like, oh, well, it kind of snowballed from there. And we didn't expect it, but we took things in and kind of, for me, I think being in healthcare, I look at all aspects of things because I don't want something bad to happen, but I try to pace myself if something does or what to expect. And I think working in healthcare and seeing the things that I've seen, it's kind of molded me a certain way.
Right. You can prepare for it.
Exactly.
You're like, okay, there's two avenues, but I'm going to go down this avenue so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, because before I got into healthcare, it was like, a family member would die and I'd be like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. And then as I got into healthcare and kind of realized like, this is something natural that happens and this is how we can take care of ourselves and our family to deal with this and to kind of make our way through that.
What an asset.
So it's definitely changed my mind in that way of thinking because now, yes, when I've had family members pass, do I get sad? Yes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I understand it more now by being able to be hands-on in that situation.
Yeah, almost like you're using your busyness and your activity with them as kind of a way to cope.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any advice for caregivers out there on how to handle tough times and some things that maybe you do that they can try? You kind of say that you've learned and you've molded yourself, but prior to having that nursing experience, did you lean on people? What is something that you did to cope?
Honestly, the person that I am, I'm not really one to lean on anybody.
Yep.
Just because I feel like I don't want to burden somebody. And that right there is a stigma we have to get out of.
Yes.
Because so many people do that and there's somebody else out there that's going through the same thing you are.
Yes.
So in order, find somebody to talk to, use the resources. There's been times I just grabbed my pillow and screamed into my pillow at the top of my lungs.
It's healthy,
because
isn't it?
and at the end it was a release. I
It's
just
wonderful.
needed to release that, and things like that. So you just kind of find ways, take you a hot bath, lock the door, turn the radio on, just sit with the lights off and the music on. Just find ways that work best for you to kind of decompress, because it is a lot.
I get to appointments early and just sit in the car.
I do the same thing.
Silent, just sit in the car. It's mental health, people. It's mental health.
For sure.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
So how important is it to have a really good working relationship with the healthcare workers of your loved ones?
I think it's very important. I mean, these are the people that you're relying on when you're not there. You can't be there 24/7 because, you have work or you have other things that you have to do, children and activities. So having a good relationship with them and knowing that they're going to take care of you. Again, they can never take care of your loved one how you feel you'll be able to. But to be able to trust that they're doing the best they can.
Right.
And that they don't see this as just a job. They see this as a real person and are respecting that person and taking care of them. And show them appreciation. Just let them know, thank you, I see you.
Right.
Because they don't get that. We don't get that a lot.
No.
From families. They're just like, oh, well, you didn't bring my water fast enough, And it's like, I'm sorry, the person next door was coding. That was a little bit more prioritized.
We had to bring them back to life.
For your, things like that. And honestly, you can't take everything to heart either.
No.
Because healthcare, you're going to run into all kind of people.
Yes.
And you still have to just be professional and still provide that care no matter what it is. So.
Okay. And what about the relationship with physicians of your loved ones? So you're caring for your loved one. This is something you're doing out of the kindness of your heart, and you're taking them to doctor's appointments. How important is it for you to have a good relationship with them?
Definitely. For my uncle, I actually have one of his doctors on my phone. He's like, call me anytime you need something.
Okay.
So, and that was something he offered.
Okay.
And for that, I was grateful because I feel like sometimes in healthcare, patients get kind of shoved to the side a little bit.
Yes.
And don't get acknowledged,
Ageism is real.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so for him to do that and be like, if you ever have any questions, just call me, reach out, text me. Just having that rapport that he is actually involved and does care what happens to my loved one. So, and I've worked with plenty of great doctors, therapists, dietitians throughout all these years.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to have that.
Right.
That rapport with them.
And there's protection laws out there, the HIPAA laws, and we won't go deep into those, but they're basically to protect the private documentation and conversations between a physician and the caregiver, the person, the patient. You as a caregiver coming in, bringing in your loved one, do you ever need to have documentation or anything so that you can call the doctor yourself, or do you need to have your loved one on the phone? How does that work?
It's worked both ways. There have been times I've had family members that are just starting out with that doctor, and they don't really understand what the doctor's saying or what, their medical reason, diagnoses are, different things like that. So they'll say, hey, can you talk to Charlotte? So sometimes they're like, okay, well, since you're here on the phone, we can do that. Or if we're in person, you're here, we can do that. But usually what I do with anybody that I'm caregiver with, I get something in their chart stating they can talk to me.
Okay.
I do have a family member now that I'm patient advocate for.
Okay.
And we're working on POA, power of attorney.
Patient advocate, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The patient advocate, is that a legal documentation that you have to receive?
There is one. I honestly, I picked up a booklet from my primary care physician. They usually have them in the office, and they can write out, it's just a little booklet, and they have different things in there as far as their wishes go, and then they just appoint one or two patient advocates to just kind of make sure we're following through with what their wishes are. Unfortunately, that's not really going to help in this situation if they're incapacitated
Right.
and you need those bigger decisions.
Right.
So it's definitely better to have like a living will or a power of attorney. So that way, if you are incapacitated, you have something on file stating, hey, this is the person
Right.
that's in charge of all these things.
Right. And you can also change those documents.
Yes,
as time
at any
goes.
time you can
Yeah.
change those.
Yeah, because if
for
cousin XYZ turns out to be somebody not trustworthy,
For sure.
you can switch that over.
Yes. Yeah. Like for my uncles, I had to we had to change his because he had my mother on there, and then my mother passed away. So we just updated it to include something else instead.
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, was that not amazing? Just wait, because video number 3 will blow this video out of the water. The tips and tricks and knowledge that Charlotte will share with us, oh my gosh, get ready. If you missed video number 1, look down below in the description or in the pinned comments. It will be there. Click on it and watch it. You don't want to miss a minute of any of this interview with Charlotte. Remember, give Charlotte some love in the comments because life is hard and we need to support each other. All right, guys, have a great day. Blessings.